Welcome to Triple R, Rock Riddle's reality. I am Rock Riddle. Today's video, red carpet reactions, Jake the Snake Roberts, the Road Dogg Jesse James, and Rock Riddle, the untold stories. First, Hollywood red carpet world premiere movie events. I've attended so many, well over 100, probably over 200. Invariably, at each of these events, I will meet at least one movie producer, television producer, whom I've not met before. Whenever they know my background, whether they know it beforehand or whether they discover it at that event, they all want to talk professional wrestling. It is amazing how many are wrestling fans in the entertainment industry. There's invariably one question that they ask. They'll talk to me. They'll say, you know, I grew up watching wrestling. They'll smile as they think back to their childhood. And then they'll say that one question that I hear 95+% of the time in these situations. Did you ever meet Jake? Yes, Jake the Snake Roberts. Number one question I get, and I let them know, I said, not only have I met Jake, I've known him for a few decades. We're friends. Had dinner with him just a month before last, and wrestled him early on in his career, things like that. So then they want to talk wrestling. And basically what would happen is this. I would end up saying, okay, we're here to watch the premiere, the world premiere of your newest movie. So that's why everybody around wants to talk to you, and I don't want to take up your time. If we talk wrestling, we're going to talk for days. Here's the thing. Here's my card. I'll hand him the card. I'll say, let's get together for lunch over the next couple of weeks. We'll do a 2.5-hour lunch. We'll talk wrestling, and you'll be so amazed at the end of that lunch, and just a chance for us to get to know each other, see if we can be of assistance to each other in upcoming projects and what have you, but mostly to talk professional wrestling. You see, I've known Jake Roberts for decades. I've wrestled him again. I've already said that, but I wrestled him before he became the phenomenon, the WWF, WWE person. We shared dressing rooms quite often. We talked a lot. We became friends over the years. Had meals together, quite a few. And we continue to run into each other at professional wrestling events and conventions, fan fests, that kind of thing. I was always honored to be in his presence. I was honored to be in the presence of one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. One of the most brilliant people, the greatest mind, the greatest of anybody in this sport. And he was also one of my heroes. So, Jake, did you know you were my hero? I never told you that. Yeah, he'll eventually, someone will say, hey, did you see the thing Rock Riddle did? I'd always assumed that Jake thought I was an okay wrestler, maybe a good wrestler, but he never said to me, hey, Rock, you're a horrible wrestler, or Rock, you're a brilliant wrestler. So we never talked about my career. It never came up, my abilities, just never came up in our conversations. It wasn't until late in my career that I learned what Jake thought about me and my ability in that squared circle. Sin Bodie, my friend Sin Bodie, great. One of the best, most capable, most talented wrestlers I've met in my multiple decades in this business. Sin Bodie asked me if I would like to wrestle at his promotion. It was called Freak Show Wrestling. And I think he did it out of Vegas and out of Southern California. So I said, sure, I'll do that. I was there for the first time. And Sin Bodie has all of the other wrestlers and all of the people, the referees, and everyone who's going to be involved in that evening, in that evening's matches. And together in one huge, well, one large room, let's put it that way. And he says, guys, ladies, everybody, if you don't know him, if you don't know who he is, I want to introduce you to the original Mr. Wonderful of professional wrestling. This is Rock Riddle. Rock has probably forgotten more about this business than most of us will ever know. So, yes, he's wrestling on the card tonight, but he still will take time, if you ask, to give you advice. This is a rare opportunity. Rock Riddle is very good. He knows his stuff. He knows how to use the microphone. He knows how to do interviews, to do promos, how to be amazing in the ring. And if you don't believe me, ask Jake Roberts. Over the years, Jake has talked about Rock Riddle, and Jake has always had wonderful things to say about him. When I hear this, it's like, okay, I didn't know this, but it sure was amazing to hear. I'll tell you a few stories about Jake. First of all, there's a friend of mine who, we were talking about Jake Roberts, and this friend said, you know, Jake Roberts has abused himself for so many years. He should have been dead 20 years ago. And I said, oh, interesting. Now, the following week after I had that we had been discussing Jake Roberts, and that sentence, that statement was made to me, that observation. Now here I am at a wrestling convention, fan fest type of a thing, and I believe it was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Not positive because I go to so many, but while there, I talked to Jake. He and I were just off in a corner talking, staying away from everybody else. And I said, Jake, do you know this person? And I told him, I said, do you know this lady? Have you ever seen her before? Sometimes she'll come to an event with me. And he says, I'm not sure. And he says, I think so. I said, okay. Well, she and I were talking about you, and she said that the way you have abused yourself over the years, that you should have been dead like 20 years ago. And he smiled. He says, yeah, she's right. I said, I'm going to call her. I'm going to hand you the phone and have you talk to her. You up for that? He said, of course. So I called her. As the phone is ringing, I handed it to Jake Roberts. Jake Roberts, and I cannot do his voice, but in that wonderful gravelly voice, the lady answered, and he says, so I understand that you say I should have been dead like 20 years ago. You're right. And of course, that voice, any wrestling fan, and my friend was a super wrestling fan, and so she recognized the voice, and of course, her eyes must have been like so, but they did have a nice conversation. And then afterward, she let me know. She says, you know I'm going to kill you. You know I'm going to kill you. I said, yeah. And then from that point on, anytime she would say something about a wrestler, and then I would be in that wrestler's company, and then I would say, would you like to do a phone call? So now she doesn't talk about that many people. She says, anything we talk about is between us. Dogg, the Road Dogg, Jesse James, Jake the Snake Roberts, and I were in our own little section at one of these events. I had a camcorder with me, little tiny one that fits in the hand. For those of you old enough to remember camcorders, and Jake said, you want to use that camera? I said, why? What do you have in mind? He says, here, just roll it. And he did a promo, an interview, a series of statements about one of my favorite topics, me. And I think I'll put it in right here so that you can see it.
It is the one, the only, one of the greatest
amazing minds in the wrestling business is Jake the Snake Roberts. Say hello.
I had an epiphany. And what it was about was pretty simple. Everybody's always wanted to know, Jake, what about this guy? What about that guy? Because I know about everybody. You like to know the inside. When you want to know about a great mind, you have to consider the talent too, because the talent is the mind, and vice versa. But when you want to know something truly wonderful, you have to go back to the originals. And the original Mr. Wonderful was not Paul Orndorff. Oh my God, no. Good as he was, not the original. And you can't beat an original. The original Mr. Wonderful, Rock Riddle, no doubt, no question. Sign it, seal it, deliver it, it's done. Great talent, yes. Great mind, well, he had a mind of his own. But the great ones do. So the next time you need to know something, you don't have to bother me. Check with Rock Riddle. He knows the answer to it. I promise you. Trust me.
Now, after Jake did that, the Road Dogg, Jesse James, someone I'm also known and admired for many, many, many years. Road Dogg said, Rock, could I do one? It's like you certainly don't need permission from me. I'm thrilled that you want to do something, and whatever you want to do, I'll record it. And this is what we recorded. I'll put it in right here.
It's me. It's me. It's the D-O-double-G. And I'm the original Road Dogg. And when you talk about originals, you got to talk about the original Mr. Wonderful, Rock Riddle. And if you ain't down with that, I got 2 words for you. Suck it. Oh.
What an amazing career I have had. What an amazing opportunity that very few people have ever experienced, because I've had the opportunity to be friends with, to wrestle the major, and just spend time and even meals riding up and down the roads between towns with some of the greatest legends of all time. Greatest legends of all time. Indeed, I consider myself very fortunate. I have hundreds of stories to share with you, and we will be doing that in other upcoming, or maybe they're already out, take a look, videos. Do me a favor. First of all, I want you to know that you are appreciated. And, no hooks, but and, if you appreciate what we're doing, what I'm doing, these videos, here's how you can help keep this thing going. Subscribe. Costs nothing. Like. Click the notification bell so that every time there's a new one that comes out, because sometimes I'll have 2 come out in a day, sometimes it'll go 10 days between. It's just depending on my schedule. That way you'll be notified about everything. I want to leave you with 2 little thoughts. Number 1, I would like to share with you my gift for you today is the 10 most powerful 2-letter words in the English language. You might want to print these out and put them on your wall. If it is to be, it is up to me. So you don't need to rely on anybody else anymore. If it's going to happen, you make it happen. And the other one is this. Every day above ground is a good day. Every day above ground is a good day. The worst day you ever have in your life is still a good day, as long as you accept that philosophy, from my point of view, that truth. I thank you very much. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one.